Hi, how you guys doing? It's Jonathan. I'm back. Anyway, in this video, I'm gonna talk about bands. Not bands, but bands. So just a little update on what happened to me. In this place where I am from, Singapore, we had haze. In case you guys never had haze before, haze is pretty bad because there's a whole lot of pollutant in the air because of the fires that's been raging in Indonesia when they're clearing out lands and jungles for plantations. This has been going on for years. The last one in 2016 was really bad. This year it was pretty bad too at one stage, and good thing that the rain came along because it's a monsoon season, and it kind of relieves this whole situation somewhat. Well, the air is better, so it's time for me to get on my bike soon. In case I just came back from a gig in Genting, Genting, Malaysia. I went there last year for another artist, so this time I'm going up with George Lam. So it was basically the same show that we did in Pechanga in California. So not much of a change musically wise, just the venue and food, great food. Anyway, I'll do a separate video about what we did over there, probably a short one. And that's about it. And I just finished an album. Not my album. I finished an album for a client. 10 songs, and it was a long affair. It took me like about 3 or 4 months, maybe longer than that. But it was well worth it because the songs are really nice. It's all in Chinese though. Spent a lot of time in the production and the arrangement and the playing and the backup vocals and the producing. So it was a long drawn out thing. But I'm glad it's over because we just finished the last mix, the last song, and I'm pretty glad that it turned out this way. So anyways, time for me to head on to another album soon enough. So let's talk about bending notes. There will be times when you will see a really good band, real tight, the guitarist is doing what he's supposed to do rhythmically, and when he does his solo, everything was good until he starts to bend. and then you can find, and you can tell that he's probably not bending up to the notes, or he tends to overbend, and his notes will go sharp or flat. And then, you know, I've heard that before. I've heard great bands, you know, back in the days, and this became awareness for me when I'm doing bends, that I have to be in pitch, that I have to bend up to pitch, that I couldn't sell myself short, because if I'm going to commit to a band, I'm going to commit it. And that's been my motto, you know, my motto all the way. You know, I'm committed to something, like in this case, this YouTube channel, you know, I just go all the way in, and I won't, like, you know, half fake it, you know, half-hearted effort, you know. You will commit to a bend it, you know. And if you're gonna bend that sucker, bend it, squeeze every note out. That's my philosophy. That's just my policy all the time when it comes to playing. So I'm gonna give you a short tip, because this has been asking me in my Q&A, that people just want to know how I do stuff, and just give like tiny. I'm not gonna give that full-blown lesson, because I'm not. You know, I don't think I'm up to it. I'm just going to give like tiny little tips and snippets of this, so that to help you along with your playing. And feel free to, you know, to ask me more questions if you need to. But I guess what I have to show in this little clip, or rather this little lesson sort of thing, tips sort of thing, is probably enough. But mind you, I only concentrate on a certain position on the fretboard. So when you are practicing it, you know, you have to do all the way, like, you know, from the you know, every position if you can, and every strings if you can. And it takes a lot of time. It takes a bit of time, but you'll get there eventually. And you know, have fun, because this is all fun. You know, it's all fun. So for a start, let's start from bending E on the second string to the F sharp note on the second string. Let's hear how it sounds like by fretting it. Okay, this is where I am, and this is my destination, F sharp. So I'm going to start bending with my index finger, second finger, third finger, and my pinky. Now, if you notice, when I'm using my second finger, I have my first index finger along to help me along, to help the second finger along. Now the reason being is that I would like to have some vibrato sometimes when I'm doing bends. So the first finger is there to reinforce any strength that I'm lacking. Likewise, on my third finger, when I'm bending on my third finger, I have my first index and my second finger along to help. Same goes to the pinky. Now, you can probably try to kind of like run through all this bending exercise with the first, second, and third finger and fourth finger independently, meaning you can try to bend a note independently with each individual finger. So if I can try, I'll try to do this like just my index finger, second finger, the third finger, which is really weak, which I know. So I need my second and index finger to help me. So know your strengths and weaknesses. You know, don't go banging yourself over it if you're not good in certain things. I am the first to admit I'm pretty weak on a lot of things. But know your weaknesses and know your strength. Now in this case, when you're bending, say for example the first index finger, use your thumb at the back to kind of like pivot. You know, so you can. So what I'm doing is actually I'm squeezing my thumb as I go up. So it's a combination of your fingers as well as your thumb as a pivot point to help you along. So try to practice independent bends with your first and second finger, with your thumb to help you along. You know, and the next thing that I want to try to share with you guys is sometimes when I'm bending, as you know, I'm using like reinforced fingers, you know, like my second and my third, or second and my first and second to help my third. I could do over bends. Like in this case, I'm trying to bend from E to G. And with a reasonable amount of vibrato if I can. So that's why I need reinforced help from the rest of the fingers. But even for, say for example, a second finger. So know how your hand work. Be very familiar with how your hand will naturally go to a position where you can help to pull off that to push or to bend that overbend. On the upper register, I can actually do overbend with just my index finger. Now, the reason why I have so much strength in my first and second finger is because I was self-taught when I was young. I didn't have any lessons, so I picked up the guitar myself, learned bending myself. So there are a lot of times when I injure myself by bending too hard, or how it is. Sometimes when you bend and then you kind of like, and then you hurt yourself, and the how should we call it? Fingernails would just kind of like detach itself from. Yeah, I know it's pretty painful, and I know how the POWs in Vietnam go through. Well, sort of. They went through much worse because they have the whole fingernails cut off, torn off. For me, it's just like sometimes just a quarter of it, and it just hurt. It hurts like crazy. So I'll need time to repair. I'll need time to heal. And the worst thing is when it happened during a show. So you gotta be careful. So again, just recap. Use individual, and then try to use reinforce. Now, the thing about bending is that try to know whether you're flat or sharp in pitch. That's the most important thing for every guitarist. You need to know whether you're sharp. So, or when you're playing a solo, you got to know when you're bending up and not bending up sharp. Or bending up flat. So you got to know the pitch that you're trying to hit and reach for it. So that takes a little bit of time, but you'll get there. Don't beat yourself over it if you're not getting to a place where you want to. Just keep at it. You get it. Now the second tip that I want to tell you is, like, when you're playing a solo, use your bends in the way that is musical. You don't have to always bend up. You can always bend and then release. Like in this case. So I could do. So this is just practice, This is a lot of practice. You can go like. Now the third tip I'm going to give you, this is the final one, is using it musically in a way where you have a phrase going with just bends. You can go like, if you have say a distortion sound, this would be easier to sound like. I'm going to just give it a little bit of distortion. So we go. So you can just do one finger if you want to. You can do. So in this case, I'm doing a C scale. So if you have like a full-blown solo sound, you can get away with like a legato feel if you want to. But if it's a short phrase, you can probably do it. Stuff like that. Stuff like this, you just have to kind of find a way to have this all happen seamlessly, and then it's pretty cool. So I hope you get something out of that little snippet of tips. Feel free to employ it, and the trick is to be musical about everything that you learn. There's a whole lot of videos in YouTube teaching bends and stuff like that. There's a great one from Guthrie Govan. Incredible lesson. I think it's broken up into 5 parts or something like that. Check it out. I'll put that link, in the information if you want to. But my thing about this is that try to use it as musically as you can. Don't just practice bends and doing all sorts of things without music going on. You need to have a backing track. You need to play along with it. And hear how it sounds like with your phrasing and stuff like that, and utilize it in a way that is musical. So that's the trick. In everything that you do, every phrasing or every mode or every skill that you're practicing, try to incorporate it musically with a backing track or with your friend playing along, or with a looper. Yeah, that's why the looper is an essential tool of the trade. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I'm sure to come up with more videos in the future, featuring little snippets and tips. If you do like this video, give me a thumbs up. And please subscribe to this channel if you want to, and press the bell if you want to be notified of future videos. So in the meantime, you guys take care. Ciao.